2015, an experienced outdoorsman named Bob, along with his wife, his young daughter, and their 2 German shepherds, decided to go camping in a remote part of northern Oregon. When they arrived at the site, Bob began setting up the big family tent for everyone to sleep in, and his daughter said, "Hey, do you mind if I sleep in the spare 2-man tent?" Bob and his wife said, "You know what, that's fine, but you gotta bring Guts." That's one of the German shepherds. That night, Bob wakes up suddenly to what sounds like footsteps outside of his tent, and his wife is still in the tent with him, and so is Leah, the other dog, and he can hear his daughter is snoring, and he can hear the sound of Guts breathing. Bob's dogs are really keyed in to protecting their family, and since Guts and Leah are not up going crazy about whatever's out there, Bob ultimately just goes back to sleep. The next morning, Bob gets up. There's no sign of any intruders in their campsite. That morning, they decide to go for a walk down the road when all of a sudden, Guts takes off into the woods. Bob starts taking off after Guts, finds Guts stopped right outside of a campsite, but there doesn't appear to be anybody in the campsite. But there's a tent, there's a cooler, there's a table, there's all the things you would expect. So Bob runs up and he grabs Guts, but then before he leaves, he realizes on the tent, there's this big scratch through it, like it's been cut open. And as he gets closer, he realizes there's definitely no one here. All of their stuff has just been ransacked, there's scratch marks on everything. He decides, I'm gonna take my family, go back to my campsite, I'll just call the park rangers and they can figure out what this is. Later that afternoon, Bob and his family are back at their campsite, and at one point, his wife gets up to go use the bathroom. All of a sudden, she gets up and starts running back towards camp. At the same time, Guts gets up and starts sprinting towards her. And Guts, at this point, has run past his wife. And as Bob is running up to his wife, he's like, "What's going on? Why are you running?" She says, "I don't know. I just had this horrible feeling someone was watching me. When I turned, I already saw Guts running towards me. It scared me." His wife leaves, and Bob draws his pistol, and he starts walking out towards where Guts has now stopped. And Bob's looking and he can't see anything. After not being able to figure out what the heck is going on, takes Guts and goes back to his campsite. The attitude was, "We want to leave." However, it was getting late. They had a bunch of stuff they would need to pack up. They decide, we'll stay one more day and we're gonna leave first thing in the morning. And he decides he's gonna set up a tripwire all the way around his campsite using a rope tied to little pieces of metal that would clang together. So if anything touched the rope, it would make the metallic clinking sound, then it would alert Bob. Bob goes over to the edge of the site and he realizes, oh my God, someone's already done this. There is another tripwire that's already been built around the outside of our campsite. It's just been cut. Bob didn't even tie his perimeter. He just drew his gun, told his family, get in the truck, and he stayed up all night protecting his family. As soon as the sun came up, they packed up and they got the heck out of there. Bob is convinced that there is something out there in the woods in northern Oregon, and probably is the same thing that caused the previous group to set up their own tripwire. It's also the reason the other campers were willing to abandon their nice equipment, because they are not messing with whatever the heck is out in those woods.